I thought would be perfect for the talk today. God works through faith. So that's what I'm going to be. This talk is a little bit the book, a little bit me, a little bit unity, and we will go into some frontiers along the way. So God Works Through Faith by Robert Russell. While it's not a widely known book as Charles Fillmore, Emily Cady, or Eric Butterworth, it is very much rooted in unity and New Thought tradition and explores faith as a spiritual faculty rather than simple belief. I'd like to begin with a simple question. Have you ever prayed for guidance, healing, peace, or a new beginning, and then find yourself wondering, is God listening? Is anything happening? Most of us have been there. When life becomes challenging, it's easy to imagine God as being somewhere out there, deciding when and whether to answer our prayers. So as we know, unity teaches something profoundly different. God is not distant. God is not withholding. God is not waiting for the perfect moment to bless us. God is already present, everywhere present. The question is not whether God is working. The question is whether we are allowing God to work through us. And that is the central message of Robert Russell shares in God Works Through Faith. So today I'm going to explore 5 ideas, frontiers, so to speak, that can transform the way we think about faith and deepen our experience of God in everyday life. So first, what faith really is. When we hear the word faith, many people think of belief. I believe in God. I believe everything will work out. While belief certainly has value, we want to go deeper. Charles Fillmore describes faith as one of the 12 spiritual faculties, a divine power already planted within every soul. Faith is not something we have to earn. It is not something God gives to a select few. It is already within us. Faith is our spiritual capacity to perceive possibilities beyond appearances. It is the quiet inner assurance that God is present even when circumstances suggest otherwise. Faith says, I may not see the way yet I trust divine wisdom already knows the way. And Hebrews 11:1 says, faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. Faith always allows us to see with spiritual eyes before the physical evidence appears. Russell says that the law of faith is fourfold. The first is to become aware of that which eternally is the omnipresence of God. Again, everywhere present. And the second is to claim the good we desire through faith, recognition, and realization. And the third is to accept the desire as fulfilled, as if it's already done. And then the fourth is to realize our oneness with God until the feeling of fulfillment comes to us. Faith acts on our level of consciousness. Nothing can come to us except as consciousness. Consciousness is all we are, all that we're aware of, all that we believe. Through conscious thought, we impress these ideas upon our subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is the creative phase of mind. It acts on what is given to it, but it does not originate anything. And this is partly what I love about Ellen Davenport's description of the 5th unity principle. She says, knowing and understanding the laws of life, also called truth with a capital T, are not enough. A person must also live the truth that he or she knows. And I really love that last part, that he or she knows. Everyone is in a different place, and everybody has a different level of consciousness or understanding, and that is okay. So the second frontier is God works through us. One of the most liberating ideas is that God does not simply act upon us. God works through us, not merely for us. God expresses through us. God expresses through our thoughts, through our hearts, through our willingness, through our consciousness. Divine love loves through us. Divine wisdom thinks through us. Divine life lives through us. Divine peace calms through us. Divine faith believes through us. So imagine sunlight streaming through a window. The sun never stops shining. If the curtains are closed, it may appear that light has disappeared. But the problem isn't the sun. It's simply that something is blocking the light. God is like the sun. God never stops expressing. Faith opens the curtains. Faith allows divine life to flow more freely through our thoughts, words, actions, and relationships. Our prayers do not persuade God to begin working. Prayer opens us to the work God is already doing. And the third frontier is faith and fear cannot occupy the same space. Every one of us experiences fear. Fear is a part of the human experience, but fear does not have to become the director of our lives. Fear focuses on appearances. Faith focuses on truth. Fear says, what if something goes wrong? Faith says, what if God is greater than any circumstance? Fear says, I don't have enough. Faith says, God is my source. Fear says, I am alone. Faith says, the Christ presence goes before me. This doesn't mean we deny our feelings. Instead, we acknowledge what we're experiencing while choosing to place greater authority on spiritual truth. Every time we choose faith over fear, we strengthen that spiritual faculty within us. Just as a muscle grows stronger through use, faith becomes stronger every time we exercise it. A good example of the balance between fear and faith is Peter walking on the water. He walked until he looked at experiences. Nothing changed except his attention. Faith became fear. Fear is forgetting. Faith is remembering. And the fourth frontier is strengthening how we strengthen the faculty of faith. In its static form, faith is neutral and impersonal. Anyone can use faith for any purpose. Faith has no choice or desire of its own. Faith will remain static or inactive until we put it to work, and it cares not by whom or for what it is used. So how do we cultivate greater faith? Not by waiting for life to get easier. We strengthen faith by practicing it. Every time we affirm truth instead of focusing on appearances. Every time we become still enough to listen for divine guidance. Every time we release the need to control every outcome. Every time we take one step forward. Modern neuroscience offers an interesting perspective here. Researchers have discovered that repeated thoughts create stronger neural pathways in the brain. The more frequently we choose thoughts of peace, gratitude, hope, and possibility, the more natural pathways become. Unity has been teaching this in spiritual language for generations. As we consistently turn our attention toward divine truth, our consciousness changes. As consciousness changes, our experience begins to reflect that new awareness. Our outer life mirrors our inner life. This is why spiritual practice matters. Prayer, meditation, affirmation, silence, gratitude. These aren't rituals to impress God. They are practices that help us remember who we truly are. And then the fifth frontier is living faith every day. Faith is not reserved for Sunday mornings. Faith belongs in Monday morning traffic. Faith belongs in the doctor's office. Faith belongs in difficult conversations. Faith belongs in family relationships. Faith belongs in every ordinary moment. Living faith means asking a different question. Instead of asking, what am I supposed to do? We begin to ask, how is God seeking to express through me right now? Perhaps through patience, perhaps through compassion, perhaps through courage, perhaps through forgiveness, perhaps through joy. Also, we become willing instruments of divine life. We discover something remarkable. We are no longer trying to make life happen. We are allowing life to live through us. This is the life of faith. So Robert Russell reminds us that God works through faith. Not because faith changes God, faith changes us. Faith opens our awareness to what has always been true. God has never stopped loving. God has never stopped guiding. God has never stopped providing. God has never stopped expressing. The invitation before us is simply this: will we trust enough to allow divine presence to move through us? Will we choose faith over appearances? Will we remember that the same presence that created the stars also lives within each of us? When we do, life begins to unfold in ways we could never have imagined. Not because suddenly God became present, but because we awakened to the presence that was here all along. And that is how God works through faith. So we see now that faith isn't the final frontier. It is the only frontier. So thank you.
The next song is going to be Still and Know. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I am. Be still, be still, be still and know. Be still and know that I am. Be still, be still, be still and know. Jesus says, peace be still, peace be still. Jesus says, peace be still, peace be still. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I am. Be still, be still, be still and know.
Yeah, thank you, Jonas, for that. Thank you, Jonas. So, the meditation today, I'm going to be using a modified meditation from the book. So, I invite you to close your eyes and sit in a comfortable, relaxed position. And just bring to mind something that is bothering you, something that is weighing on your mind. And as I go through the meditation, anytime I say this or this situation, bring to mind the situation. My faith in God delivers me from this situation. Subconscious mind in me, you are a vibrant, living part of me. You are instantly receptive and responsive to my call. You always obey my commands and directions. You fulfill my desires to the letter. You always do what I want to do. There is nothing that you cannot do. I have absolute faith in you because you always act upon those ideas which I feel to be true. You are always waiting for my call. And right now, I want you to reverse this pattern with a pattern of faith. Eliminate from my mind this situation and all belief that anything is now wrong or ever can be wrong. Insulate my mind against this so that no thought can ever enter my consciousness again. You can draw the roots of this situation out of me, and I know that you are doing it now. Go all the way back to my memories and heal all things that have happened in the past so that they will not trouble me anymore. You have received my instructions and you have responded to my call. You have broken the chains which have bound me. I feel the perfect fulfillment of the perfect faith in every atom of my being. My faith is your power. It is unlimited, and I know that the healing, freeing work begun in me will continue until I am every whit whole. So we'll just stay in the silence for a moment and think about how this is coming into a better place for all of us. When you are ready, I invite you to open your eyes and come back to this day and time. And so it is. Thank you.